Hey, happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to this week's edition of Urshel Speaks. Going to be trying out our 30-minute format today, so going to be fast and furious. I'm all up in your face right now. Going to jump right on it. Last week I did something that was kind of fun, and I decided that I would do it again this week. Not specifically just review a book, but talk about something in this amazing time that we're all living in the year 2020. I'm going to take these off because I'm seeing a lot of glare. In this amazing time that we're living in 2020, uh, so many things that I'm experiencing that I want to share. And because I think that this is a absolute wonderful time for us to be living in. I feel like we're all created for this moment and this time, and that's why we're here. And we should take advantage of it. So let's jump right into the conversation. I hope everything is going great. Give me a shout out. Let me know you're there. And also, one thing before I forget, I always forget to do, some good self promotion. But I'm gonna change that. I'm gonna start, doing what I need to do to make sure that you know what's happening. And I would love for each and every one of you, after you like this episode, after you share this episode or some of the past episodes that may have been impactful for your brain and for your heart. Um, After you do those things, you like and you share, comment, let me know that you're out there, let me know that you're listening. After you do all that, I would love for you to check out on my page some of the articles on Medium that I've been writing. I've got a whole menu of stuff I'm going to be dumping out, at least one article a day. Some of them are things that I've written previously. Some of them are fresh off the dome, hot stuff. You can still smell what I've been cooking in the kitchen of my brain and my heart to share with you. But I'd love for you to go check those out on Medium. Follow me on Medium. Throw some claps out there. Oh, sorry about that. I just maybe gave you some vertigo by kicking the screen there. Um, and But I'd love for you to check that out. So check it out on Medium. Again, I'm easy to find. My name is Urshel. It starts with a U because it's all about you, because it's all about me sharing with you what I've got to give. So one of the other things, I told you, and we've talked about this. 2020 has been an amazing year. We're almost to August, halfway through this year. So much has happened. So many amazing things. So many challenging things, so many forced conversations, so many different realities. Um, if you've been bored just because of COVID or because of quarantine, then shame on you, because this has been a great opportunity for us to think differently, do things differently, for us to innovate in our minds and start thinking. And not just to sit on social media and order food and gain weight and that sort of thing. I see crazy stuff like my man Patrick Evans. I see him out there, one of the coolest, happiest, most quality individuals that you'll ever meet. This guy's out there just you know decided to go for a walk slash run, and I think he set a goal of hitting 100,000 steps a week or something like that. And he knocked out, like, I don't know, he went like 23 miles the other day, just because the opportunity was there and he was enjoying himself. And just I love, if you follow Patrick on social media, if you know him, we're old high school buddies. You see that this guy's been living life to its fullest for a long time, and he's a great example, and I love that. But what I want to talk about today is your personal legend and my personal legend, right? Um, and that's not a term that I came up with. It's to me, it's almost like a little bit of an awkward term, but it comes from a great book that, again, I told you I've been reading. Some of that reading is listening, because I've been taking advantage of my walks and my runs and my travel time to add audio books. I used to feel like doing an audio book was cheating, but man, right now, just everything I can get in that can help build and edify and strengthen me and help me to think and challenge me, and give me more stuff to share with you and every person that I come across. That's all I'm consuming. I might not know what's going on in the news right now, because I haven't been able to tune into that. So you won't hear me talking a ton about the news. I'll probably have to dial back in as we approach the elections. Um, so that we can have some intelligent conversation around that. Man, I tell you one thing that I am going to share with you, and I'll probably forward it on social media. But there's a cat named Michael Thompson. He runs an organization called My Possibilities. Just one of the greatest young nonprofit leaders that I've ever seen. The guy just has great intelligence, passion. He's doing a phenomenal job in that organization where they provide training and education for persons with disabilities. Um, but he posted something that I just think is brilliant, and it's so timely for the things that we're experiencing and that we see every single day, especially if you're engaging in discussions, um, dialogue on social media or in person. It talks about all the ways that people have ineffective arguments and all the different tactics that are used to not move the conversation forward, but for everyone to stay stagnant where they are, using straw man and all of these different things, gaslighting, all these things that don't move the conversation forward. And so I'm going to share that, and maybe we'll talk about that. But today, I want to talk about your personal legend, my personal legend, your personal legend. And the reason why is because it's something that I don't think that most of us believe in anymore. And when I say that, most of us, when we get to a certain point in life, we get to this point where we somehow become satisfied with doing our job. We somehow become satisfied with paying the bills, having somewhat of a peaceful, calm, life, and we just settle for mediocrity. I've got some things that are coming out. I got some videos that I'm working on that you're going to absolutely love. And even last week, you may have seen a little short video after one of my workouts that, uh, went on a kind of a walk slash run, not 24 miles like Patrick did. But, I'm just, getting myself back in shape, trying to be one of those 50-year-olds that, doesn't look 80. And, and I talked about that. And the question I asked is, who told you that it was okay to be mediocre? Nobody. Nobody should have given you permission to accept from life and to give to life less than your personal best. And if you're ever athlete, if you ever lifted weights regularly, gymnast, track and field, a lot of different sports have what's called a personal best. And so that is for this particular event. I know, the station owner and our producer, Mark Warner, he ran track, he ran hurdles. And so I know that, throughout the course of your time, you have this personal best or this personal record that says this is the fastest that I've ever run, the highest that I've ever jumped. And so when you're an athlete or you're lifting weights or something that is extremely measurable by time or weight, it's easy to say, I've never done it this fast. I've never lifted this much. I've never gone this far. And so we're always trying to not only win as we look at things competitively, but personally, we're trying to push past our personal best. We're trying to run that marathon a little bit faster than we've run in the past. And that's even now as I measure my physical recovery and whether I'm walking or whether I'm running. I'm able to compare. Yesterday I did 3 miles, 2.5 minutes faster than I did last week, last Thursday or whatever. And so I'm able to measure my progress based on what I've done in the past. And that's one way of looking at things. And that is a good measuring stick as we measure towards progress, the things that we're doing in our life. And everything is not as easy as having a stopwatch. Everything isn't as easy to measure in life as being able to say, this is how much weight I put on the bar, or this is the distance that I traveled in that amount of time. Some things seem to be a little bit more ambiguous, but our personal best is different than our personal legend. Our personal best is something that measures based on what we've accomplished in the past. And that's good. because we want to make sure that we are making progress, that we are advancing in the areas of our life that mean the most. But our personal legend is different. Our personal legend is always looking towards the future based on what's in our heart, what's been that seed in our heart since we were little. And this one book that actually, again, I've shared with you, I've been reading a lot and listening a lot. And one of the books that I've read in the past over and over again, and well, maybe 4 or 5 times in the past, interestingly enough, last 30 days, I've probably read or listened to it about 4 or 5 times in the past 30 days. In the last week, a couple of times as well. And one of the reasons why with some of these books, Wallace Wattles and Paul Coelho, the Alchemist. One of the reasons why I'm reading or listening to these books over and over again is because some of these things are so much more than just information or a story. Some of them have depth. I remember the first time that I was introduced to The Alchemist, it was watching an interview by Will Smith. And he said it was one of his favorite books. And I thought, wow, it's interesting. Will has definitely come a long way from being kind of a candy rapper from Philadelphia, which is the way it kind of came on the scene. Nice and clean, good looking, cool, didn't cuss, to becoming, a box office blockbusting megastar who has just done so many amazing things. He's evolved in every way. And, he shares a story about how the reason why he excels is because he's not afraid to die on a treadmill. That if he's competing against someone, that he will push himself so hard that even if he has to die, he's not going to let himself be beaten. And that's one thing. And we talked about competition versus this concept of your personal legend, and that works for him. But in this concept, in this thought, what I want to leave with you, and the reason why I want to encourage you to go check this book out after you listen to this, after you like and share, and after you go to Medium and check out some of the writings that I've been putting there, and give me some claps and follow me and share those as well. Because I promise you, all I'm going to be doing is dropping science, dropping knowledge, things that are going to pump your heart. But your personal legend, here's what I want to say about this, is that I think that there's a seed I know that in every one of us, there's a seed of greatness. And the reason why I know that, there's a lot of reasons. One of the reasons why I believe that is because I've never heard a child talk about wanting to be average. I've never heard a small child who's having fun, who's playing. And I've never heard a child pretend to be, a street sweeper, right? I've never heard a child, when they activate their imagination, when they really begin to develop and express their language and think about what they want to do or who they want to be, or they're playing baseball in their mind, or they're shooting a basketball and it's always 3, 2, 1, and they sink the shot, or and the crowd goes wild, bottom of the ninth, and they knock the ball out of the park with a grand slam. They're always thinking, they're always imagining themselves doing something great. And I believe that's because there is a seed of greatness in every single one of us. And what this book, The Alchemist, talks about, it's this whole story about, these people these men that are supposed to be able to take any metal and turn it into gold, right? And so they go through this process, and there's this young man, and he has his personal legend. He meets Melchizedek, right? A king who tells him, after he's, had this, these other experiences, and he's been set on his path to go and accomplish his personal legend. And Melchizedek tells him, I'm always near when someone is seeking after and desiring their personal legend, but very few people go after their personal legend. And so again, that's kind of an awkward term, but what does it really mean? To me, it means your place of greatness. And I honestly believe that we all have that. I had some great conversations this week, and just talking about people reaching their potential. And somebody somewhere, in a great conversation with someone that you'll meet on the show soon, said that, right now, as humanity exists, there's like 1% of people who reach their potential and have the impact that they were created to have. 1% of people of the 7 billion on the planet. And the interesting thing, and I'm gonna go pull this up, and we'll talk about it some other time, or I'll write about it, and you can read. But the young lady that shared this with me, she said that, and the estimate is that if we ever get to 3%, 3% of humanity, I believe I'm correct, but if I'm not, I'll let you know. If we ever get to 3% of humanity that is living in their personal greatness, that fulfill their potential in life, that begin to really tap in to their brain with that level of power and consistency that really allows them to fulfill their potential and operate on that highest level, that we'll have world peace, that we'll solve the major problems that we're facing, and that the impact will be multiplied greatly if we can just increase by 2% of the people really fulfilling their personal legend. And so what does that mean for me and you? How do we go from this rat race and this life that we live? I remember KRS-One was a rapper said, I'm not the run of the mill, because for the mill I don't run. And we all get into this rhythm of life where we're just operating, we're functioning, and we may be winning in certain areas, or we may, the career is good, the income is good, the people in your house don't, totally hate you, and you get along, and life is decent. And it's so easy to settle for that and remove the risk, and that's been one of the big things for my life. Especially the first 13 plus 9, first 21 years of my adult life, really kind of, it's not that there wasn't risk. I mean, I went to combat, and I was in the Marine Corps. I did some missionary work. I did some church work. It's not that there was no risk involved, but there was also a lot of consistency and safety, as far as income and things like that. And then since that time, since 2009, there's been, a lot of risk, a lot of me betting on myself, a lot of me gambling that I can build something, that I could do something and do something that, has the potential to be great and to be phenomenal. And there's been some great successes. There's been some challenging times, and there's been some failures. And I know some people are reluctant to say that. I'm good with saying that there's been some failures, because I've learned, because I've been strengthened. I've become stronger, smarter, wiser, faster, whatever, as a result of the things that I failed at. And so that's, failure is only failure if it is terminal, right? It's only failure if it results in quitting and giving up. But when we talk about your personal legend, here's what I want you to do. As a matter of fact, I even have I just thought about this. I've got a little thing on turning your passion into profit, and I'll adapt that a little bit, and I'll make a download and put it in the comments. Just look for that, later today, or when you're sharing this throughout the week with people that need to see this. You'll see that link in there, and I'll put it on the Facebook page. But I want to adapt it a little bit, because it's not just turning your passion into profit. Maybe it's this. It's turning your profit towards your passion. The way that you not just earn your living, but the way that you live your life, that you're going after it with such passion that people want to pay you for it, that you are really earning based on what you really care about most. Raise your hand if you are working a job that pays you well, pays the bills, but you don't love it. You're not passionate about it. You know, you've heard that saying that I don't agree with. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day in your life. You've heard people say that. Again, it's a cliche, so I have a natural resistance and allergy to cliches. Um, but I don't believe that. I know people who do what they love, and they work like crazy. They work tirelessly. The difference is the reward is not just the income. The reward is not just what they get paid for. The reward is not just the recognition or the position of the corner office. The reward is the satisfaction that they are living out, that they are walking out their life's purpose. And because of that, there's energy that comes beyond the 1st and the 15th, or when you get paid. There's creativity that comes beyond. When you're in that place, when you are in that zone, like the athletes talk about, when they hit that spot, when they in that zone where things are just coming and there is an internal drive that is pushing you, that has nothing to do with the external things that are coming your way as a result of it. I believe that's when you're pushing towards your personal legend. I believe that that's when that seed of greatness that has always been there, that's always been there since you were a kid, that's when it's driving you to where you want to go. But again, we've lived a bunch of life. We've had, some of us 20, 30, 50, 60, 70 laps around the sun. And so in that process, we've gotten used to paying the bills. We've gotten used to taking out the trash. We've gotten used to living life as life has come to us. And that's not enough. That's not, I do not believe that that's what we were created for. I believe, and not because we live in America, not because we live in Africa, not because we live in Spain, not because we live in Brazil, but because we live, because we are born and we exist, there is a reason for us to be great. And there is a personal legend, a personal drive that we all have. And life beats that down. Life squelches that. Life reduces most of us to existence, most of us to not being miserable, right? And it's not the life that we were created for. That's not the life that you and I really want to be passionate about. So I'll tell you, you can start with this. Just think back to when you were a kid. What did you want to be? What heroes did you identify with? Who were your favorite, stars? And why was there a connection in your heart to that man or to that woman or to that idea? Because there's probably a connection between that and where your greatness truly lies, where your impact. I want to be a hero to my children. I want my son to think that I'm like the same way I looked at my father. I thought he was, the biggest, the baddest, the smartest, the wisest, the most loving person in the world. And that's great. I want my son, I want my daughters to feel that way, to think that way about me. One of the greatest compliments I get, my daughter, Danielle, a video that I shared last week, she shared it and she said, if you're seeing this, you need to watch it because it's exactly what you need to hear. And, that's better than a paycheck, that my daughters think that something that I say today as adults has value that other people need to hear. But we all need to be tapped into something in our life that is pushing us towards the greatness, the legend that we're supposed to create. Because I don't think it's enough that it's just the people who love us and know us and are around us appreciate us. You have a voice, you have a purpose, you have a reason that can impact the entire world, that can impact entire cities, every single one of us. But we've been taught to accept mediocrity. We've been taught that it's okay. We've settled into this mentality that it's okay to kind of be a C plus student in life, or maybe a B plus or a B minus. And we don't expect that everyone is operating on that A plus level of life, excelling in something. Just think about this as a final thought. What if every person you know, what if every person in your house, let's start there. What if every person in your home, every person in your family was the greatest in the world at one thing? Think about that for a second. What if every person, what if you are the greatest in the world at one thing? And what if you don't do that thing? What if you don't do that one thing that nobody who has ever existed in the past, nobody who exists today, and nobody who exists in the future will ever be able to do the way that you can do it? And then someone else's personal legend is built off of you reaching your potential and you accomplishing what you were created to do. Think about the effect, the impact of not reaching for our own greatness and being exactly who we were created to be at the highest level. And think about what the world misses by you not being the greatest you. None of us can be, a good imitator of anybody. Well, we can, and we do. One of my challenges is that, at times, at different periods of my life, I allowed myself, because of my ability and my desire to adapt, I allowed myself to become a version that other people wanted. And I lost sight of what was really most important to me and what I was really created for. And things started getting shaped by other people's ideas of how I could best serve their purposes. And I could do that. I could help them, which is what I love and what I'm created to do, but not at the sacrifice of me being who I'm supposed to be. Your job shouldn't be at the sacrifice of your personal greatness. Your relationships shouldn't cause a sacrifice of your personal greatness and who you're supposed to be. Actually, it should be just the opposite. It should be propelling you into that, including, now listen to this, including the challenges, including the struggles, including the failures, including the things that challenge your very existence. Those are things that are driving you towards your greatness. Those are the things that are proving out who you are and who you're created to be. So I'd like to keep this conversation going. I'm going to write and talk about it a little bit more. I got another video that I'm working on that you're really, really, really going to love. I think this thing's going to go crazy. I'm going to be targeting someone that we all know and that we all love, and it's going to be great. But listen, do not accept the lie that you're not created to be great. Your job is to discover why. What it is, you probably already know. The seed has never gone away, but the voice of it may have been silenced. It may have been suppressed. It may have been pushed down. You may have given up on that. And listen, it's not all about entrepreneurship. It's not all about having your own. It's not about any of those things. It's about what you know. And I believe if you dig, you'll find it. If you need some help discovering that, man, there's a whole bunch of things we can do. We can start with why. We can do a whole bunch of things to get back down to that core of what really drives you and where your greatness truly lies. Because I believe that if you do that, and if I do that, then no matter what a politician does, no matter what, no matter what the economy does, no matter what any of these other external things that are going on that seem to be the most important thing, if we were all driving towards our own greatness and accomplishing that, we would see the world change, starting on the inside. Old things would pass away. Everything becomes new. because of the life that comes out of us, the life that is born inside of us, being expressed throughout all of time, and having an impact, I believe, throughout all of eternity. So my name is Urshel. This is Urshel Speaks. I hope you get a little bit out of this. We'll talk about it some more. Shoot me some comments, shoot me some questions. Go check me out on Medium. And you have the best day that you can make it, because it's your choice to make it a great day. We'll talk to you soon. This is Urshel, and I'm out. Have a great week.